Hey people, welcome back to the Wines, Bites and Beats podcast. This is episode number 4 of season 2. Last year, as you know, we had a unstructured podcast and it was basically me and the missus getting pissed, talking about things that we thought were interesting to people. Were to some degree because there was someone in the west coast of California that listened and made a comment. So Christ knows how that got there, but it did. So I thought this time round, I have more time to think about having a structure and getting guests on, proper guests that are from my world, my 3 pillars, like my wines, bites, beats, wine, food, and music. So we've had someone from the wine trade, a fellow wino. We've had the lovely Adam from McLaren Fine Foods, who my next guest knows very well. And now we have a very esteemed guest making one of the greatest inventions on earth, and that is pizza. But before I introduce him, I just want to play this to see if this might resonate with our guest. We have the wonderful Nick from Stoked Eats. Stoked Eats. If you haven't sussed them out yet, you won't wherever you are because they're based in Surrey, but they're the most amazing pizza truck. The most incredible pizzas all run out of this little truck. I call it a little truck. I assume it's little in relation to other trucks, but what they churn out of this truck is, and I mean, properly stunning. And I always base the experience I get from your pizzas, Nick, in that. And I hope this comes across the right way because it is an absolute compliment. I used to go to when I was working in London a lot. I used to go to Pizza East and Pizza Pilgrims all the time, and you used to get all my pizzas there. I thought these are the greatest. There's nothing that beats this. And then when I started to have yours, the first time I tried them last year, I thought these are on par. But they've got a restaurant, a residency, lots of people, much more resource basically. But the stuff you're churning out, I think, is incredible. So Nick, thank you very much for being on the poddy. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you very much, Scott. Great to be here.
My pleasure. I hope the intro did you justice.
And absolutely. You had my favourite song and my favourite pizza guys, other than ourselves, with Pizza Pilgrims. I'm a big fan as well. And a bit of Wilson Phillips. You can't go wrong, eh?
You could have gone right the other way by saying, "Yeah, Pizza Pilgrims, they're wankers. I can't stand them."
No. You gotta, when it's that good, you got to be honest, and they're really, really good. Always been a big fan.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So if it's all right, Nick, I've asked you a few questions to ask all of our guests. Just try and paint a picture, put them on a spot, and to spin a smart story out of it. And as I said, it's always centered around wine, food, and music. And in my opinion, if I change the word wine to booze, just booze, food, and music, those 3 things, and I hope you agree, Nick, can kind of transport you in a way, whether the music is nostalgic, whether it's current, whether it's drum and bass, house, pop, whatever it is, music does something to the soul, 100%. as does food, as does booze to a large degree. And as you know, Wines, Bites and Beats is all about synergizing those 3 things. I think I've made that word up, synergizing. I've no idea.
It works though, Scott. Sounds good.
I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Nick, would you mind telling listeners just a bit about your background and then tell us how the hell Stoked Eats came about, if that's all right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks for having me on. So started off a few years ago now. We've actually been going for 4 years, but before then, I was in the corporate world. I did different different roles in sales and selling hygiene solutions into big hospitality establishments, restaurants and hotels and all the rest of it. Then started selling a dental treatment, and I won't lie, they paid a fortune and I was rubbish at it. But hey, you got to make hay while the sun shines. So I put a little bit to one side, and doing these different corporate roles, I knew that I'd always been into my food, and I've loved the behind the scenes aspect of it, from seeing it, from selling the hygiene, the cleaning chemicals, sanitizers, everything. But I just knew that my life shouldn't be dictated around going out and trying to sell products to people that I didn't believe in. And I wanted to do something which I loved, and sort of started to visualize that path. So I was in between a couple of different job roles, and a friend of mine has a similar food truck down in Portsmouth and Hayling Island. And I went back and forth, hour up and down the motorway, 3-4 times a week to go and help out purely for the love of it. I had time on my hand. I was in a very fortunate position that I had some money from behind me from saving up from doing the other roles. And I wasn't in a rush to go and find something that I didn't want to do when I was loving doing that. But of course, it was, a long way to go and work 3-4 hours on an evening down on Hayling Island on a pizza truck on a Tuesday night. And there started to be a big rise in food trucks coming out of London and into the burbs. So all around this area, we have, lots of different options now, which there never used to be. I've always lived around this area, and they never used to be growing up. So I thought this is really onto something here. So that's really where Stoked Eats idea came from. I didn't know whether to go down a pizza path, another path, and I had a chat with my mum, and she said, well, you love pizza, you know what you're doing, you've been doing it down in Portsmouth, you don't like the different corporate roles and, you know, selling cleaning chemicals and all of that. It served the purpose, but do something you like doing. So there it was. That was the start of Stoked Eats. So from there, we went and sourced the truck and had to go up to Nottingham to find a suitable truck. As you said, a little truck in comparison to an Arctic truck. However, I had to find one. I'm a big guy, listeners. I'm 6'3" and 120 kilos. So I needed to find a big old truck that could look after me and could look after the oven, and all the equipment as well. So we went and found the truck up in Nottingham. Bought it back home, and from there went and designed it with some brilliant guys who are called the Amodio brothers. They're based over in Suffolk, and they design all sorts of different companies up in London. Their kitchens and their food trucks and all sorts. So I took my truck over there, and 3 months later, it was up and running, and that was now 4 years ago. So this has been going for about 4 years, and as it happens, I'm seeing them again on Monday for Mark II exclusive. There you are, really? Scott, an exclusive. So I'm going to go and see them on Monday and design the second. So,
Way.
Yeah, hey, there he is. Thank you very much. And another exclusive for Wine Bites and Beats. I don't think we're going to go pizza. We're going to branch out and look into some other options as well. So pizza as we'll have the pizza van doing the pizza van stuff, and watch this space what will be coming on the other one. But we have a few ideas. So that's where we are now. That was 4 years ago.
Bloody hell. I didn't realise the extent. I mean, I read a bit before what you said, but the extent, and I would say there's a couple of things I picked up on. Even though 4 years to a lot of people might think 4 years, that's a substantial amount of time in general. But I mean, that seems to me like you did it at pace, relative pace, from the idea to now.
Without a doubt. I mean, and bear in mind, one of those years was the coronavirus year, which never really happened. One of those years was the year of finding your feet and finding your flavours and sorting out where you're going to trade. Another one of the years was pretty much taken up with, we were very fortunate to get into the Wembley and West Ham for the home games. So one of those years was kind of pulled away from the passion and concentrated more on the business about volume rather than quality and flavors and networking and meeting great people like yourself and all the rest of it. So it's been a journey, you know, not every year's changed a bit. You know, it went from the business model being work locally, make great food, meet great people, do great parties, weddings, all the rest of it, to thinking, well, hold on, let's try something different. I never fancied the festival path personally, but I did fancy the event side of things. And so, yeah, we went down to West Ham, and the van lived over at West Ham for the Olympic Stadium for a whole year, and Wembley Stadium for all the big gigs and all the big concerts and football matches and all the rest of it. And it was brilliant. But the love of it comes to going around, meeting people like yourself and all the other great people in the area, providing great food, meeting awesome people, and enjoying it, you know, and that's really where we kind of boil down to now.
I think that's the difference for me. And I've met you a handful of times now and spoken to you, and you're and again, I sometimes say things that sound backwards, but I mean this wholeheartedly in a compliment. You're a character as opposed to someone. You're a character with craft, so you know what you're doing. Clearly, you're very good at what you do, in my opinion. And everyone around here, obviously, but you're a character as well. And that, I think that takes people from being just good at what they do, and then people really care about the product. And if there's something else, maybe, but because you're you, and there's your personality and your charisma and your enthusiasm that comes through as well when you speak to, and your big smile and when your eyes light up, that's wicked. I love that in any way, shape or form, where you have a great product, but you have a person behind it that can storytell, that's just a real character, and you're 100% that.
No, brilliant. Nice to hear, Scott. Well, you know, that's the way I am. I'm not going to change, and I love it. And it's great to hear that it works well. So I think that's all part of it. You know, we don't sort of just want to provide people with a pizza and say, thank you, see you next week or what have you. You like to get to know them and have a chat and find out. And many of our specials and things come from just chatting with people and finding out what they like, you know, and all of a sudden that's the week special, and then the community gets involved. So it's not just the going out there, not 9 to 5, but, you know, working hours, trading, going home. It's all part of being part of something, you know, and that's what we really enjoy doing.
Well, that's the thing. You're providing a service to the community, and especially now as well, when people, you know, people can't go out. All the obvious stuff I'm going to say. People can't go out. They can't experience much. They can't do an awful lot. So when you walk around the corner, or certainly when I do, when you come around here, and you can start to smell and you can hear the truck, and you walk up and you see the big fire. It's just that it gives you that sense of something to look forward to. And it's those
Brilliant.
things where you're providing a service. And like I said before, is when you have a person behind, and you have to duck under because you are 6'3". You have to duck. Oh, there you are. I can see just up there.
Hiding.
Yeah. And you've got the big roaring fire in the wood fire. Oh, it's spot on. And I can't wait to see what's coming next. I won't ask anymore, but that is exciting. Can I ask a quick one?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
A quick one on pizza, in just specifically pizza. And if it's all right, if I give you my take just as a consumer, as an enjoyer of pizza, I've always considered a good pizza more about kind of like less is more, when you've got really good quality ingredients. And again, I'm not trying to patronize here at all, because you know best, but good quality ingredients, just simplicity done well and delivered, and make it seamless. And then if there's times and opportunities where you get to test and create different things, then great. I like the fact that you don't go completely nuts with things and just pile on, because I imagine it might be easy to do. For someone else, it might be easy just to go wacky with the pizza, and then on the description on the website or a photo, you think, look at it, it's amazing. But then when you pick it up, it all falls off. And
100%. That's the biggest issue with it. It all falls off. The tastes don't complement each other, and you nail on the head with less is more. What we try to do is have a bit of a diverse menu. So you do have your simple and effectives. I mean, let's have it right. You cannot beat a margarita pizza. It is so fresh. It's all the fresh ingredients on top of it, but it's fun to play around with some other flavors, and I think we'll crack on with we'll discuss a few of them later on, and the different combinations work. But there's nothing worse than a big, heavy, greasy pizza full of stuff on top of it, and everything slides off as you're trying to bite into it. You can't taste anything. The cheese isn't cooked underneath. But I think there's a bit of a perception, within certain realms, where kind of foodie people will see less is more, but other people want volume is more. And it's part of the fun of it is not educating them, but opening their eyes up to other things, such as just try it. Just try a few different combinations. Don't have everything. And we will have people that come up who they will want the full works. And, begrudgingly we'll do it. But you just want to kind of say, look, try it without these couple of things, and maybe have one or two things instead, or have half and half. And if you're so adamant on it, mix the toppings yourself when you get to it. Have it like a calzone or fold it over. But I'm with you, Scott. I think less is more. Top quality ingredients, simple and effective.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I've had it loads of times in all sorts of pizza places where it might as well be a calzone.
Yeah.
Because you have to fold it over, because it's sloppy and so messy. So the visual can be very appealing, but the practicality of it doesn't work.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
Good. I'm glad you agree with me on that one. Could have gone the other way.
Agreed.
Right, Nick, if we can, before we talk a bit about wine, because wine and pizza, I'll be honest with you, wine and pizza, I enjoy wine and pizza, but not everyone does. And do you know what? If I'm being totally honest with you, which I kind of played on the words booze, food and music as opposed to wine, is that I would say 8 times out of 10, when I have a pizza, yours or any other pizza, I just want a cold beer.
Yeah.
For me, that's just cold beer, hot pizza. It just seems a good combo.
Would you think it boiled down to the environment when you're eating it in? So if it's Friday night, pizza man outside your house in the pizza truck, the kids are homeschooled and the wife's been working all day and all the rest of it, and you just want to chill out, have some nice food and have a beer and just relax and start planning your weekend. Whereas if you were to go perhaps to a restaurant or, more of a date night or something like that, a nice glass of red will go lovely with the pizza or what have you. So I guess it's horses for courses as well. It depends on the way in which you're having it. So would you agree?
That's 100% right. And to paint two sides to that, you're spot on. Really, you've smashed that one, because whenever we get pizzas from you guys, we all eat together. My 2 girls, us 4, and we open the boxes. Don't bother with cutlery, plates, nothing. Just get the tissues in, and we crack a couple of beers, or that might have a gin and tonic or something. We don't even think about wine. It's very informal, very relaxed, very convivial. Whereas, as you rightly say, if I was out in a restaurant, imagine if you're going to open up a restaurant soon, yeah?
Maybe. Watch this space.
I would be very much more inclined, just because it's like you said, it's the setup or the atmosphere, like you said.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of expecting, right, I hope there's a wine list in here, just because certain wines are magic with pizza. Absolutely. As opposed to a beer. And then it would be a bit different setting. So you're absolutely right on that. And that's probably why, to be honest, I have beer most of the time with particularly your pizzas, because it just calls for that. It's like you open the box, the smell, the fun. You think, I don't want to then twist the cap and fart around with a wine glass per se. I just want to pop the cork on a cold one and just get going.
And ready to go. Yeah, too right.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Right. Do you mind then, Nick, if we move on to the questions that I asked you that I
Yeah,
ask
of course.
every guest? And I've got them in front of me, but I'm going to ask you to elaborate where I think it needs elaborating because you've got some quality answers.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll start with this might be, I don't know, I'm hoping this should relate easily to people making pizza at home, but I just wanted to ask you, like I ask every food guest, two like proper hacks or tips or hints to make their pizzas just better.
Yeah.
And the first one you put, in fact, I'll read the second one. Olive oil is the most incredible seasoning. It brings everything to life, which I agree with across everything. But can I just get your view on with pizza specifically, how that plays out?
Yeah, I just think once a pizza is nice, it's hot, it's bubbling. You have the dairy, the creaminess from the cheese, the acidic tomato cutting through. You might have some salty meat on it, or some fresh veg, or whatever combination you got. You might just go for margarita, as we said before, but a fresh basil or something. But whichever combination you have, once a bit of extra virgin olive oil is drizzled over the top, it just brings it all to life. It almost combines them all together. I'm a big fan of oregano as well, and I wasn't sure whether to say oregano or olive oil. But I think olive oil, I went through all of our list of pizzas on the menu, and I looked through all of the recent specials and things we've done. I said olive oil is just perfect for all of them. I'll give you an example. Around Christmas time, and this is contradicting what I said before about less is more, but at Christmas time, it's the opposite. And extravagancy is everything. So we went, the roast chicken and stuffing and gravy and all the rest of it. And it was the only pizza I was looking at where extra virgin olive oil wouldn't have made it, it wasn't needed as such. And that is because there's too much on it anyway. And it was already not going to work, but in a weird way it did work because it was too much. It kind of made sense. But I just think with everything being simple and effective, extra virgin and a nice quality extra virgin olive oil if possible as well, it just brings it all together. It brings a freshness about it. It brings it back to a taste of Italy. But I'm a big advocate that pizza doesn't have to be Italian, but it roots to Italy, right? So you can't ignore the roots, but at the same time, stuff evolves and stuff moves on. And I think it's a great combination of the both. And that was my number one. I just thought virgin olive oil is so often missed, but so unnecessarily missed, if that makes sense. And for me, anyone out there making a pizza, and always do it at the end, top it at the end once it's cooked, and it will just melt down and combine everything together, all the different flavors.
That's what I was going to ask you. At what point do you drizzle the olive
oil?
At
the end. We drizzle it at the end. The only time I wouldn't, and is if we're making vegan pizzas. And I think with the vegan pizzas, there's no fat in the cheese, so it brings it together earlier. So it helps to melt down. We use a type of vegan cheese, and it helps to melt them down, and it really brings it to life earlier on. But I find it almost takes the freshness out. Going back to regular dairy pizzas, if you put the olive oil on too early, it takes the freshness out of it whilst cooking it. It almost, cooks it a bit too quick in the oven, and it just lifts everything at the end. It just adds an extra little flavour at the end, a flavour burst. So at the end, I would recommend.
That is a really good tip. First of all, I would never have thought of as olive oil being a kind of a tip or a hack, or as you said, bring everything to life. I thought I use olive oil a lot, but I wouldn't have necessarily thought of doing that. But when you describe olive oil like you do, because it's pretty multifaceted in terms of texture and flavour and pepperiness and everything you said, I would never have thought of doing that. And it's a good tip how it interacts differently with dairy cheese and vegan cheese.
Absolutely, and that is exactly the nail on the head. How it interacts, and it interacts differently with them all, and it just brings the saltiness and extra, bit of salt to it. It mellows out some of the spice if you have spice on it. It enhances your dairy, and it just brings everything to life a bit more.
That is a wicked tip. The other one you said was, and I like this one. I like the fact that you're quite open about this when you could equally just play safe, especially with pizza, I guess, is don't be afraid to break the norm and play around with food flavorings. There's no rule book. I love that.
Absolutely. And if anyone says there is, then break the rule book. As far as I can see, I think that is for anyone. This is the good thing about the different sort of looks on food, And Adam, fantastic chef who you had on yesterday, may see things differently as a highly qualified, really, really established chef to a foodie like myself. But from my perspective, just play around, mess around with it. Whereas I'm sure from a professional perspective, there's a bit more science behind it. But I don't have that knowledge. So for me, it's trial, it's error, it's combined things. Let's have it right. I've made an awful lot of bad combinations, but you just tweak them, and all of a sudden they work better, you know. And I just think don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to give it a go and try things. And if you like 2 different toppings, then not 2 different toppings, 2 different food types, go for it, you know. And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about Italy before, and of course that is the root. And you know, the Italian meats and Italian veg are fantastic. But last week we did a chicken tikka pizza and curry. It's good. Do you like it?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
It was good, right? And that's it. And it's
really
just the way that they combine together. It's fantastic. You know, there's the tikka, and for me, I think you have to have the tomato base and the mozzarella. You have to have the olive oil, because otherwise it's not a pizza. It becomes a flatbread. So you keep to your fundamentals, and just top it with other things and just flavor taste it and see what happens. Not everything works, and if it doesn't work, throw it in the bin and start again, you know, or eat it and have a laugh about it, or whatever you need to do. But just go for it and give it a go.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Like, what's that phrase? I can't remember the full phrase, but basically, failure is practice.
Absolutely, couldn't agree.
So
with
if you
more.
treat it as
Absolutely.
every time you fail, you think, well, I'm just practicing perfection.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Your tikka pizza. There's one thing I liked about it. Well, I liked it all. Sorry, but there's one thing that I thought made such a big difference. Was there a drizzle of yogurt or something?
Mint yogurt at the end.
Do you know that? Because it was a drizzle, it wasn't overloaded spoons. Yeah. It was a drizzle. There was the fragrance of the mint, right?
Yeah.
And there was a slight sourness to the yogurt, and that mix between sweet, salt, sour, the texture. It
combined it. It combined it, right?
made a really big difference, and it was awesome. It was so
we never used to have that on there. We did this special, I don't know, 2 years ago, and we went with, you know, the chicken tikka, fresh peppers, parsley, and spring onion, and it was lovely. But there was something missing, you know, and I knew it was nice, but I knew there was something missing. So I started putting some hot sauce on it, and I thought just to heat it up, and it didn't work, you know. And this goes right back to what we're saying about don't be afraid to, you know, play around with things. And I was going, well, it doesn't work, but okay, no worries. It's better without it than it is with it. I thought, well, hold on a second. What do they do in an Italian restaurant? You have a nice raita, you know, or raita, or have you. Put some of that on it and see how it goes. And it was just brilliant, and it worked really well. And that came off the back of doing a chicken shawarma pizza again 6 months ago or so. And we put the mint yogurt on them, and more the tzatziki style mint yogurt, and it was lovely. And I thought that could go really well with this, and it did. So again, just play around with some flavors, and all of a sudden it brings something from being nice to really nice, amazing, however you want it to go, you know. So it and again, it pulls it all together and just adds you another dimension.
It leveled it up completely. I suppose like little tweaks, little additions can either, you got to make some errors along the way, but you're right. Little tweaks can elevate an experience, a pizza. Absolutely. Going from this is really good to this is like extraordinarily good.
Yeah, absolutely. No, brilliant.
Just a quick one before the next question. I just thought I picked up on what you said. Do you find that it's a lot of fun whilst having your staples like the margarita, like the things that are going to work because people love them?
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of enjoyment out of just basically deciding to change, assuming you can do this, change the menu kind of as and when you please, or what people ask for, having the freedom just to change and chop around?
Love it. 100%. And, you know, we have our staples. We have our 5 or 6 staples, which will be there, you know, all year round, because that's what people want to see. They want to see pepperoni. They want to see ham and mushroom, nice Wiltshire ham and mushroom. They want to see margarita, and you have the, you know, veggie and all the rest of it. But who's to say what goes on a veggie pizza? You know, who's to say what goes on a meat feast? And it used to be a fantastic greengrocers over in Walton called Styles. And I used to go in there and be like, right, what should I put on it? And as it happened, what with lockdown and all the rest of it, you know, they were so busy. I started using Italian supply and seeing what they had to offer. But it's just brilliant. And then having conversations with, as I said before, with customers that come up and like, well, what do you like on a pizza? And they might say, well, I like it with pesto and you know, sun-dried tomatoes. Brilliant. Well, we'll do that next week, you know, and just tinker with things. And yeah, it's just a real nice, informal way to do things. As long as you have enough core that people will keep coming back to you because they like it and they know all about it, then mix up the specials and mix up the, you know, the chicken tikka one I thought was brilliant, but I wouldn't eat it every week. Whereas in theory, margarita, pepperoni, ham, mushroom, I could, you know, but that's nice to have every few months. So it's just about playing with some flavors. The only one I'd say is our house special, and our house special has chorizo, red onion, pepper dew peppers, and chilies. That was our special on week 1, and we all decided it was too good for it not to become the house special. And that was the only one that's ever stuck. I mean, other than that, I've really enjoyed some of the specials we've done and mix it up. And some weeks we'll put 2 on there, and other weeks 1, and all the rest of it. But they're great for a period of time to play with some flavors, you know, and then you want to play with some more, and that's it. And going back to your actual question about the ability to change your menu as you go. what I love when, pre-COVID years, going to events and asking them, or weddings, and say, what's your favourite 4 pizzas? And they could come up with 4 of the most bizarre toppings you'd ever heard, or 4 options you've ever heard of. But you do it and you go, actually, these are really good, but I'd never really thought to do them. And things like that. You have full. I don't like to go there and tell people what they're going to eat. I like to ask them what they're going to eat to make it happen. So I have that flexibility as well, and that's the beauty of what we do.
Yeah, I think I'd find joy in that. What's your take on fish on pizza?
Okay, I'm controversial. I'm not controversial. I think it's fine. It is a very controversial one. Now, we don't tend to go down that path. I think, if you have the right flavors, there's a lovely one. You can have anchovies, capers, things like that, olives. I can't remember the name of it, but very popular. And tuna fish goes on it. I see things from two perspectives. What will people want to have, and how many times have we been asked for it? I'd say 10 times maximum in 4 years, even if that. And I just don't see from the, sort of from the business side of things, it being enough of a hit to make it worthwhile. And it's almost taking the place of something else which would be more beneficial. For me personally, I'd eat anything. I'd give it a go and I'd try it out. So I'm not anti it, but I just think it isn't what the customers want. So I tend not to go that way.
Good commercially savvy answer, I think.
Got to be.
By the way, my wife has the special every single time.
Yeah.
She always refers to it as the special that isn't a special.
Yeah, the normal special. Special.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when people order up and they say the special, I was going, oh, is it the special that's not a special or the special that is a special? You have to just double check which one it is. But no, Nat's got it spot on with that one. It's the special that's not a special.
Right, can we come on to the final question, which this always makes people think, and some people go, oh, blimey, it's going to take me ages, I don't know, but they come to it and think, oh, actually, this is a good one. And your words, if you don't mind me saying this, was
go for it.
This is one of the best questions I've ever been asked. I thought, woo.
I loved it. Just to give you an insight, I said to Scott yesterday that I'd have it over to him in an hour or so, the answers. And it took me until about an hour, so 24 hours, an hour before we were having the podcast, to actually decide what my answers were. I went through so many different options. I went left, I went right, I went centre, but I'm going to stick with what I provided you with. But
listen,
what
people,
a question.
This is a good. If the question is good, I think the answer is twice as nice. So if I read out the question, you give us your answer, Nick. So the question was, and it's a scenario-based question, so I'll read it out word for word. You've been locked in your pizza truck. What a shame. You've been locked in your pizza truck with no way out for a full 24 hours. You can create your own pizza with any toppings you like, anything, along with a bottle of wine, beer, spirits, or cocktail, any boozy bevy you like, and one single song or piece of music to accompany your 24 hours of solitude. What did you pick and why?
Right, so the food. I went for the jerk chicken pizza, which comes with mixed peppers, hot sauce, spring onion, and coriander. I could eat that all day, every day. I went on a journey to come up with that one. I've come up with so many different flavors and combos and all the rest of it. And I thought, no, go with what you know and go with what you love. And that's exactly the one I chose. So with that, I thought the best combination is to stick with the rum, because rum and jerk chicken, you can't go wrong. It has to be a Bayesian Mount Gay rum, preferably extra old, but I am stuck in a band, so I won't be that fussy. Has to be a fiery ginger beer, fresh lime, and if you've got it, Angostura bitter. So that would be my drink. And then the song choice. Well, I went for some different song choices here, but you've got to combine it. You're in a band, you got banging pizza, you got banging drink. It's got to be Bob Marley, One Love. So that's what I settled on in the end. Was that I thought, what a combo.
If you could just kind of like take a picture, close your eyes and just take a picture of what that'll be like. It's probably the best 24 hours you've ever spent on your own.
Yeah. I think I'll just open the oven up. It'd be like being in the Caribbean anyway, with the heat coming out of it. And do you know what? If you want to go and lock me in there now, I'll give it a try for 24 hours. I'm willing to volunteer that one.
So if you had to isolate in the pizza truck, you just have to say, wait a minute, where's my Bob Marley? Let's make this pizza. Yeah. Where's the Mount Gay?
Yeah, give me 10 minutes. I'll get my stuff together and I'll sit in there for isolation. No problem at all.
I'll see you in a week.
Yeah, see you in a week. No worries at all.
That is up there with the best answers I've seen, just because, and I know I keep saying this, and I know it comes across as kind of corny sometimes, that when you combine wine food or booze food and music, and when you get put on the spot like that and you ask what's your favorite of one of each and how would you spend 24 hours, you think it just paints a scene, doesn't it? It tells a story, I think, and you just think, yep, I can transport myself there any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
100%. Couldn't agree with you more, Scott.
There we go. That was the Nick from Stoked Eats. Nick, thank you very much for joining. Really
Thank you
appreciate
for
your
having
time.
me.
Where can people, especially for listeners in Surrey, because you're only Surrey, right, at the moment?
Yeah, we're predominantly Surrey. We do branch out in non-COVID times. We're happy to come anywhere. If you have a wedding, if you have an event, a party, you can get in contact with us at www.stokedeats.com. We're happy to discuss it, and if we can make it work, we'll be there. Otherwise, come and find us, Walton-on-Thames, Weybridge, Addlestone, Chertsey. We roam around the area. We change location every night. If you go onto stokedeats.com, the same website I said before, or Facebook, Instagram, Stoked Eats, you'll find where we'll be. And we're never far away if you're in those areas.
There you go. You have to try it, people. You have to try the pizzas, and then when you meet Nick, like I said, proper character. Get to know him, and he's a gem, a real hidden gem. So Nick,
Nice,
thank you
Scott.
very much.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you.
Catch you soon, mate.